And we are back here once again with another episode of the MSK Show, and this is going to be episode 77. And in this episode of the MSK Show, I am going to be having a conversation with indie creator Brian Christgau. This is going to be technically his first appearance because he was on my other show. And as you guys know, I'm like DC. I get to retcon things out of existence exist. And I basically, when the views go down, you reboot, you go all in, and you go for something else. Just pretend what you just saw never existed, you know?
Yeah.
But it's crazy because we'll get into like a lot of stuff here, but I will say this. After some recent Comicsgate drama, I'm pretty sure you feel pretty vindicated that one of the people that you specifically named, actually, because people are very scared of like naming names. You were like, no, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. That same guy ended up going on just a tirade for an award show on a YouTube channel that probably had like maybe 400 subs, 500 subs, like 20 average viewers.
Yeah.
Crazy. And people told you, Brian, come on, man, he's not that kind of guy. You're crazy. You're seeing things. Yeah, guys, those takes you said aged like absolute, not milk. Those aged like shit. Like that urinal that Ethan was licking level shit. Absolute. Just I imagine you were wearing like a Jesus outfit, like, oh.
No, I mean, because here's the thing. I do try to always be an honest person. And that's important to me because I have a sense of honor. And that's because I also have a sense of dignity. A man without honor is a man with no dignity, as far as I'm concerned. And so, like, when the stuff happened at the Graham Nolan party, for instance, I tried to be as accurate as possible, right? Mm-hmm. And step out of myself and be like, okay, well, what exactly happened? And, to describe things from as much of a objective point of view as possible, right? Of course, to be completely objective, that's impossible, right? It's kind of like, the reasons, I mean, it's like when there's a crime, they could get a bunch of witnesses together and everybody's seeing something a little different, right? Mm-hmm. But I've always prided myself on my honesty. Mm-hmm. And I would never drag somebody through the mud unless they're dragging other people through the mud, especially if they're dragging my friends through the mud and they're canceling my friends and they're fucking with my friends and they're doing gay ops on my friends' campaigns and just fucking with them in general. I don't take kindly to that. And there are some really bad actors in this space. And you know what? The people that just got canceled, myself, other people that recently got canceled, we could not have picked a better time because these motherfuckers are self-destructing right now. And
because I'm pretty sure he went on I remember I was watching one stream of his, because the reason why I still watch is because people have to know the reason why I can say all these things, because if you pay attention to what he says, you can obviously instantly pick out when he told the truth, when he told the truth, which is always a lie. I don't think he's really ever told the truth personally. You could just tell someone like this has always been lying. I don't know what truth is, honestly, even when he says it. Like, he went on a tirade off you because apparently you wanted to just go on his show and just promote your book and obviously just be entertaining. And he said you weren't entertaining. And I was like, wait a minute, I've talked to this guy. It's clearly, like, you're better than most people that, because you're better than most people that come on here. Because, like, how I told you the problem with doing these shows sometimes, like, some people give like one-word answers and bullshit like that. I was like, when he said that, I was like, Brian definitely talked. You get that guy on something ill, he's talking. I'm like, what he's saying, he's not entertaining. Like, what the fuck? I can name 5 people that guy's had on his channel that are literally just such garbage. They're not even worth going on a show.
When he said that, it was funny. I found it very amusing because I'm not a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not a YouTuber who makes a comic book every 4 years. I'm a comic book creator who YouTubes. Right. Yeah. Because you kind of you got to have your hustle. Otherwise, people aren't going to know who you are and then they're not going to back your books. But it was fun. That was just a funny period, those couple of weeks, because the narrative changed every day. It constantly changed. And when it's like, when detectives are interviewing suspects, the reason they ask them to tell this story over and over and over again is to see if it changes. And if it keeps changing, that means they lying. They lying, they lying, they lying. Their nose is growing, their teeth is growing. They're lying, they're lying, they're lying. But yeah, it's insane. It's like they're going around with impunity now. And when Malin was on his own stream and talking about Danger Vanessa's awards, he wasn't saying anything I wouldn't have said, right?
Mhm.
I would have been talking the same exact shit,
Mhm.
but he was serious.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have been I would have been saying the same shit, except I would be being a dick, right?
Mhm.
I'd be doing it just to fucking bust balls.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, like, he's serious about this. Like, he's seriously butthurt that this
Yeah.
little award show, like, and of course, then Ethan sent his flying monkeys, and they rigged the whole thing in his favor. And then what does he do? He does exactly what you would think he would do. He
Yep.
showboats.
Yep.
Right?
Funny thing
It's
you
like the
mentioned
guy who wins
flying
in a fixed fight.
It's crazy how you mentioned flying monkeys and Wicked just came out. You know, little nice Wizard of Oz reference there. I like it.
I've heard that's good, actually.
Good look. I haven't watched the Wizard of Oz in forever, man. I remember
Me neither.
I read the book. I remember reading that book, but the book was way better than the movie. The movie was fine. It just left a lot of stuff out. But you know, it's one of these things.
Too.
It's one of these things where if people don't know the history of what just happened recently, there was this channel that was Comicsgate based, because there's a lot of them. They were just doing an award show that they always did. And then it's crazy how they've always did it. And they just recently found out, even though like Ethan and John and Shane always pride themselves on Comicsgate this and Comicsgate that, grab an oar and all that fucking virtue signaling bullshit that they say, yet they never noticed this channel having an award show based around other Comicsgate people. That sounds too good to be true, but apparently that was a thing. Because to be fair, I'll give him credit though. You don't know everything about everything. It's just sometimes you're surprised. So I'll give him that. But then John sees that his book's not nominated for I don't think the book's nominated for anything, because there was a rule they implemented that was like 2.5 rule, which basically meant like if your book didn't come out within these 2-year time frame or whatever, or was fulfilled, then it wasn't going to be able to be put on for nomination. When our stream just started going like actually ballistic over an award show. Keep in mind, I don't care for award shows. Who said, "Oh, my favorite movie got nominated for this award. My favorite comic book." I don't care. Award shows are meaningless. They are just completely worthless validation. And to be fair, if you win an award, it doesn't really change people's minds though. Like if you guys, I'm going to factor in the story that happened 2 years ago. Tom Cruise took all of his Golden Globes in his truck, drove down, I think a place in Hollywood, and just set them on a garage and set them down on the parking lot. Like Tom Cruise, one of the biggest movie stars probably ever in a lot of people's minds, doesn't value awards. Eminem, a lot of people's favorite rapper, doesn't value awards. I still don't get, still to this day, why people value awards. It's meaningless. If John Malin literally is your favorite indie creator, why would an award change anything? Even to him, why would it matter? What an absolute dumb hill to die on. Fake award shows. That makes no sense. Like, everyone's going to forget about the award show anyway. 2 months down the line, no one would have remembered who won. It's not that big a deal, but they just have to make a big deal about everything. And Yanzi, you saw the clip of Student of God. Yanzi was like, well, we wouldn't be doing this if they didn't implement this 2.5 rule. Huh? Yes, Yanzi, you could just go around and start telling other people how to run their YouTube channel. What the fuck? It's ironic. A Chinese person telling an American citizen how to run their YouTube channel. Crazy. The irony is so there.
I missed that.
God, man.
A lot of the information that comes my way is, second, third hand. People will say, "Oh yeah, Ethan was talking shit about you today." I'm like, "That's nice. That's nice." Let him fucking talk shit. I haven't watched his stream in years.
What's crazy is when he was going off on you when you had that drama with him some months back, he did say, I remember the video, I remember the stream, he said he liked your book. It wasn't like he didn't like your book, which is crazy.
Yeah, you know why?
He didn't like. I believe him when he says he doesn't like something most of the time. But it was weird because on ISOM, even though he had said he doesn't like it now, he was praising it before. So it's like, how do I believe you're telling the truth then? I don't get that.
Once again, that's the narcissistic personality disorder. Right?
Yeah.
They lie all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why he admitted that he loved Six Gun Gorilla was because I posted a clip of him praising it on his channel. This is years ago, right? Because one of the things that I did, and I always recommend this to my fellow indie creators, is make sure that when you print your books up, that you always have extra copies lying around.
Oh, you have extra copies. Oh, cool. I can get one eventually. Holy crap.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy. And what you do is you send these to people. You send them to critics. You send them to people in the business. You send them to internet friends. You make sure that it gets out there and that people talk about it. I sent my book to Chuck Dixon. Chuck Dixon, one of the great all-time G's,
Oh,
one of the great all-time OGs,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Did a review of my book, and he was just like, "Oh man, I hate westerns with like fantasy elements, with like vampires and werewolves and all that shit. But I really liked this.
Yeah.
Like, this is really good. This was a page turner." Because he said if people send him books, if he doesn't like them, he just doesn't say anything about them, right? Which is kind of my policy, right? If it's shit, you know, you don't want to fuck with people that are still trying to do their best, right? Nobody sets out with the intention of making a bad comic book. Mike Barron called my book majestic. Majestic.
It's a weird word to use, I guess. I've never heard that.
Just like,
good old Mike.
Right. And so these are guys that I idolized when I was in high school, right? And so whenever I get a good review, I'm always grateful. And I mean that like sincerely, right? I've been very lucky in that everybody that's read my book seems to love it. And that's not me being braggadocious. That's me being really, really grateful, because you put your shit out there, you don't know if people are going to connect with it or not, right? I made Six Gun Gorilla for myself, right? I'm the target audience. And that's why I think so many of the books in the indie space are so much better than the books in the mainstream, is because they're sincere. Most of them, right? Not all of them. You know, there are the books that were clearly somebody's trying to get a Netflix series deal or something like that. Yeah. Right? There's the grifters out there. There are people. I mean, mind you, I welcome anybody and everybody throwing their hat into the ring.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And keeping that door open. And that's something that we don't have in this community anymore. We haven't had it for a long time, and it's sad because I'm seeing a lot of creators there that are established, and their campaigns aren't doing as well as they used to. Partly because the economy's fucked up, right? But also partly because they're canceled. Now, when you have cancel culture in your anti-cancel culture scene, you done fucked up, son. You done fucked up big time.
Yeah, because what a lot of people aren't going to understand by what you mean is the average idiot's going to get that response of like, but how are you canceled if you didn't lose anything? Well, guys, there's different ways to. Yeah, well, the thing is, there's different ways to lose everything. Like, basically, if let's say Ethan and his Comascape people have like the hierarchy. Let's just say they do. If he doesn't like you or his friends don't like you, what do you think they do? They talk to people, a lot of people, and then spread negative rumors about you. So you're not like canceled in the sense of like, you know, why the traditional sense that we're talking about, like from like the Hollywood, like Gina Carano's will cancel you. No one's saying that. The cancellation happens from they will literally talk to people and cut you off from getting opportunities, thus canceling you essentially.
Well,
you know,
it's just like when people are just like, "You're not canceled." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. Gina Carano isn't canceled either. She's making movies for the Daily Wire." It's like it's that logic of, well, you're not canceled because you still have a pulse, like you're still alive. Right? Canceled means people are actively fucking with you, and they're actively fucking with your money. They're actively fucking with your business. It's tortious interference is what it is. And Ethan, of course, has always controlled the purse strings, right? And that's why getting an endorsement from him early on was definitely made me some money, sold me some books for sure. And I'm always going to be grateful for that, right? But then, of course, he tightened the purse strings and screwed over a bunch of my friends. And then, of course, Malin is the king of the cancel pigs. And if you look at that list, and I actually have it, right? The list of everybody that's been canceled. And it goes on and on and on. That list is fucking huge, and it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger every day. Fortunately, they're losing their power. Fortunately, Ethan is self-destructing. And I don't take delight in another man's destruction. I really don't. Not even that of an enemy. I fancy myself a Christian. I try not to judge people. I try, to have compassion for everybody, including your enemies, right? Which isn't easy sometimes, but I at least try to make the effort. But yeah, it's nice knowing that the person that has you in their crosshairs is sniping at you from a burning building. Or in his case, it's more like a sinking, burning ship. He's just
like
throwing Molotov cocktails in every direction. But that's the thing about narcissists. They always ultimately self-destruct.
even the show they have, the one he does, Comics Gate King, that's not the whole drama farming stream he has. Does anybody care about that show anymore? Like, I watched it a few times and I was like, this is just garbage. There's a reason why he literally had to change up the format because, no offense to the guys on there, they don't really have a personality for doing this. Or because if you see them on their own away from Ethan,
comic creators.
Yeah, but if you see them away from Ethan, they actually do have that personality of like being a creator. So I think when they're just around Ethan, they kind of they kind of bite their tongue and they don't do anything because they know they know, hey, if Graham Nolan was on there and he said randomly, I like the Horseman, oh my God, would he not hear the end of that? Let's
oh my God, you get canceled fucking fast.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is I met Graham, I met Andy Smith, and those guys were wonderful, really just wonderful people and very, very kind. And met Dan Frega, who was also an absolute sweetheart. He gave me his blunt. He was like feeling no pain that night. He was feeling no pain, right? Right, he was giving me a hug and everything because we'd interacted online before. And he's just kind of looking at me with his, like half-lidded eyes, and he just takes his blunt out and just sticks it in my shirt pocket.
Good gosh, man.
That was good. That was a good blunt too, man. I smoked that shit. It was pretty good. So these guys, I remember when Ethan was like, it's funny because like, he pays people to make little puppet shows about people. Cringe. And I feel mad. I'm fucking butthurt because I didn't get a fucking puppet show. All he did was he had somebody superimpose my face onto like the head of a tranny. Right? And he was showing this, and it wasn't even funny because my attitude has always been, if you're going to snap on me, that's cool. Nobody's above having their fucking balls busted. Nobody's above that, right? Nobody. But at least make it funny, right? It's like, I have the same attitude that Luther Campbell had when I forget who it was. I think it was Ice Cube, No Vaseline, I think. Right? And in the video, you see Luther Campbell lookalike bending over and about to get reamed by this huge dude. And he was asked in an interview, it was like, well, did that make you angry? He said, no. Well, why not? It was funny. If it's funny, I don't have a fucking problem with it either. But this was just like whack, right? And it was funny watching him because, of course, that's what Ethan does. He shits on honest indie comic creators, especially ones who fulfill on their campaigns. Oh, that is a definite.
See, crazy man. The real quality is waiting 4 years for a book. That's how you know you got a good product. You waited 4 years, and I'm like, what's crazy? He actually brought up one thing that was truthful in one of the streams he did. It was when Eric July and him had the first falling out, or whatever that was. It was he had mentioned very clearly that the fans need to back the books and read the books. Well, the problem with what he's saying with that is ironic is he doesn't fulfill the books. So people can't really read his stuff if he doesn't fulfill it. Also, most people don't read, like, no offense, even some of the bigger guys. I haven't heard anyone talk about any of their stuff, if I'm being completely honest. I think the only creator stuff that's really talked about is like Mike's. I like Mike Barron a lot too.
Mike's a G.
Yeah. But no one talks about Ethan's books at all. No one talks about Cyberfrog like that.
No, and nobody's ever going to feel passionate about Cyberfrog. Cyberfrog is never going to move somebody to tears. People have told me that my book has moved them to tears, right? It's given them the feels, and when I hear that, I'm like, right? It's just, and I'm so fucking grateful. These motherfuckers don't understand the meaning of the word gratitude, and they have no love for their backers. They have no love for their fans. I cherish my fans. I cherish the people who back my books because they literally help me make my dreams come true.
Yeah.
Right? these books, I'm going to be on, well, geez, issues 9 and 10 and the second trade paperback are coming out. I mean, I got the pencils.
Oh my God. You're actually doing work on your book. You're trying to get your book out. That's crazy, man. I thought you're supposed to wait 4 years. God damn, man. You're doing it all backwards. What the hell?
I know. But you've noticed, like, that's one of the reasons why Phil got canceled, was because he consistently puts out high quality books.
Right? Phil Diaz, right?
Yes.
The whole
Lost Pages,
Phil Diaz.
banger after banger after banger, and he's dropping them and he's getting them out to backers in a timely fashion. Can't have that.
Nope, can't have that.
Can't have that.
How dare you?
And there's a real disdain that they have for people who haven't paid their dues, right?
Yeah.
It's you haven't worked for Marvel and DC for 10 years, and you think you can just come in here and just make a comic book?
Isn't that just so gay?
Talking about motherfuckers like me who've been toiling in the underground for like 11 years.
Do you know how gay that sounds to somebody? You haven't paid your dues the way that I did. Like, you sound like some fucking villain from the 80s, like an 80s cheesy horror movie. How dare you come into my dominion and fight me? What are you talking? What is this? People are that's what I'm trying to say. I never try to say these things, but this is so true amongst like nerd people. There's legitimately socially retarded people that think like that are stupid. That's why they never grow, because they have such actually legitimately fragile egos, to the point where anyone coming in they see as a challenge, and if that person does it better than them, or they feel like they can do it better, they have to do everything in their power to make sure they don't get over on them. Yeah.
In other words, it's kind of like there's good competitive and there's bad competitive.
Oh, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Good competitive, Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Yeah. He's on the set, I mean, like, super competitive dude, always, right? But not mean-spirited. Muhammad Ali, super competitive, not mean-spirited, right? Like when Schwarzenegger was shooting Predator, like the other actors, they would get to the gym an hour earlier in the morning, right? So they could beef up, right? And really get their muscles pumped up. And then the next day they'd come in and he'd already been there for like an hour, right? And then they'd get up earlier than that and they go for a run. And then like the next day, what do they see? They see Schwarzenegger running down the hill. I know what you guys are doing, right? That's good, healthy competition, because that's like, oh, homeboy's raising the bar. That means I have to reach higher and I have to do better. When I see books from Phil, for instance, I'm just like, all right, damn, okay. And I never see my fellow comic book creators as competitors. I mean, to be honest, I don't have a competitive bone in my body. I never have. I'm like one of those gooey hippie types in the sense that I want everybody to win. Yay, we all win. Let's all hold hands and cross the finish line to get together, right? But I especially would never look at my fellow comic book creators as my adversaries and people that I have to trip up. But that's the thing. If you don't have the talent and you don't have the skill and you don't have the work ethic, you're not going to be able to keep up with someone like Phil. So what do? Take them out.
Or you don't even allow them to be on Comicsgate Kings, because wasn't Phil Diaz a part of the mainstream? They said he was.
He was for a while. He was. I don't know that he was a Kang, right? Because in order to be a Kang, you have to be an industry veteran, right? That changed years ago. I remember that very first Kang stream. That's when I realized, oh shit, we indie guys or guys have not been like, that didn't have like 10 years at Marvel or DC. That was it for us. We were shut out.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, if he wants to have a show like that for industry vets to talk about their experience in industry, that's fine. But I don't know if he knows that, but if like that is going to signal to people that if you weren't ever working for Marvel, DC, or Image, then you were basically less than shit.
Yes.
That's how it's going to come off.
Yeah. Mind you, whenever I get into this discussion, I always say he doesn't owe me shit. Right? But it doesn't matter how many times I say that. He's still going to be like, oh, man, this guy feels like, oh, he's all entitled, right? He thinks I owe him something. Doesn't matter how many times I say it. He doesn't owe me shit. Yeah. But he had actually, one of my friends was like, hey, why don't you just hit him up and see if he'd be interested in launching your new campaign on his stream?
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to do it because I had already kind of like agreed to have me on and then screwed me like literally 6 times. Right? So it's like Lucy and Charlie Brown with the football. You ever seen that? Right?
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. All right. Cause I'm thinking, okay, this isn't for me. This is for my homeboys. Cause when I get on there, I'm also going to promote my homeboys. Just take one for the fucking team. And amazingly, he says yes. Then on the very day, he fucking is just like, no, fuck you. Like, no.
Keep in mind, last year, as you tell the story, if people don't understand, this guy was going ballistic on people that said, no, you earn promotion from being just in CG alone. You're entitled to it. Then this man literally, I could imagine, fucking hell, flipped on his stream so many times. Like, well, indie creators, smaller ones kind of screw me over and stuff like that. And I will say this, I don't agree with him with a lot of stuff. But there are people out there that actually do think like that. Like, I'm owed this because I'm in this scene. But, yeah. But the problem here that he doesn't understand is obviously that's not everybody, which I'm pretty sure he thinks of smaller creators as less. But the thing with smaller creators that I've dealt with too, that I can kind of agree with him on, is that like if you give one promotion, all of them kind of think they can get it. It's just how that goes, right?
And in that instance, it was really fucked up because it was just like, okay, night of the launch, and no, fuck you at the last minute.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You know who was launching a campaign that evening? John Malin.
He's launching goodness, one, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness Michael Bancroft. I just messaged him last minute and was like, hey, dude, any chance, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you could hook a brother up. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So he fucking caught my fucking fall, right? That's the kind of guy he is. Now, of course, he's canceled too. Isn't that interesting?
Crazy how that works, Oh, and this thing is, I've never seen that guy ever mention them at all, And the other thing to bring up when it comes to like say smaller creators is if Ethan has said, well, certainly smaller creators kind of backstab me. Well, no one think you have to promote everybody. Then create the smaller ones you think are good and just only promote them.
Exactly. In other words,
it's not even that hard.
This is what I always thought would be the coolest thing. Get all the Kangs together, and accept submissions.
Yeah. And
then if everybody reads the same book, they can give their review, and shit, if everybody likes it and everybody's like, yeah, this is dope, you should go check this out. That could change. That would be life-changing. Right? And for a creator, it would put them on the map. But that's the thing,
Hi, Vaughn. Canceled Brothers.
What up, Vaughn?
I'm just thinking about that meme where it's just this guy shaking hands and the one just hit onto it.
Check it out. Got this from my boy RJ.
And I'm just saying, for if he thinks there's some smaller creators out there that are just being complete sinks in grass, well, you don't even have. First of all, acknowledging them. And the thing is, if you acknowledge them and talk about them the way he does, that's just free promotion. Doesn't his live streams get like, was credit him, hey, 1,000 people watching him. Good. I'm glad he can get the viewership. Now he's telling 1,000 people that smaller creator is a piece of shit. Why would those people not go and check that person out? Just out of pure curiosity, they're going to do it.
Because, well, yeah, but here's the thing. You're talking about his simps, right?
Oh,
and
sure.
You're talking because those are the only people that are hanging on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And the veto files and the dickheads and shit, right? Those are the real chuds. Like the real, goblins.
They don't read Ethan's books. All they're doing is just buying his stuff and just.
They don't read comics.
Tell them. Like, it's crazy how they go after Eric July so much. I thought about this at work today. I was like, wait a minute. Why don't they talk about Marvel and DC ever? I figured out. It's not the fact that they don't even like Marvel and DC. They secretly do. They still want to kind of keep that bridge open to the fact that if there's ever any way that they'll work with them ever again, they could. like some of these people that are always like fight the power, take down the man, are some of the biggest industry shills on this planet.
Yes.
Because Marvel and DC, I still buy modern comic books. I have a lot. If you can say, I love comics. I love every form of comic book, man. I love manga. I love it all.
French comics. Yeah.
But if Marvel
comics.
and DC do bad things as far as like business practices or those creators that are working for them, I'm gonna call that shit out. I'm not trying to get favor. I'm not trying to get free shit sent to me. I'm not saying they are either, but I find it so weird how they don't criticize Marvel and DC in any shape, form, or capacity. Same as they create for Eric, right? Because you look like this well as I do, man. If it's Marvel and DC are like, let's say there's tier, they're like S tier, right? Because they're the big two. Then it's like Image is tier, let's say A, right? Then you have like Dark Horse, IDW, Boom. That would be like B tier. C tier would be like Titan Books, Dynamite, Antarctic Press, people like them, right? That are like there. So they'd be like C. People like Eric would be like where Iconic Comics is. I would consider them not like as far as quality books, but as far as like known ability, reach. Riververse is probably like about D tier, you would say. And then there's like everyone after that is like under them. So it's so weird for people of that, for people like Ethan and all his simps, whatever, to go after Eric when he doesn't have that much reach. Really think about it. Marvel DC will have infinite better reach.
Brother.
Don't you find it weird? It's so crazy. Eric is not impacting a lot of stuff. I like Eric too. I think he's great. But
I love Eric too. And he's a big Six Gun Gorilla fan. He's one of the people I sent a book to, and he loved it. And he's giving me shout outs and stuff like that. Here's the thing. It's not what it's about. What it's really about is Ethan looking at Eric July and going, shit, that could have been me. Yeah. I could have made that happen. I had such momentum. I had such a movement behind me. Yeah. But, of course, he's a narcissistic prick. He's not going to blame himself. Right? It can't possibly be his fault. It can't just be shitty business practices. It can't be, taking 4 years to fulfill on a book. None of that shit is his fault. That's the thing you need to understand about Ethan and Malin, especially. Yeah. They're always the victim. Always the victim. Right? Poor, innocent them. Right? And and here's the thing. I'm not going to say that there aren't sometimes douchebags and bad actors
for sure.
From like the smaller indie scene. My friends, Simon Poitier, my Quebecois brother from another mother, and my boy Preston Acevedo, who also is the artist on the new Six Gun. These guys, one of the reasons I bonded with them was because of their generosity of spirit. That is to say, if there was a smaller campaign that looked like they just needed a little extra push to get funded, boom, Sim would be busting the sketch cards, right? Boom, Preston would bust a cover, like a variant cover, for free, right? Both of these guys. I was like, fucking A, like, And a lot of these people that they helped out stabbed them in the back. Yeah. Stabbed them in the back. And when I heard, and they had to tell me, because I would always sing their praises and be like, oh yeah, man, they're always doing this, always helping people out. And they were like, yo, dude. Because then people were getting mad at them if they didn't do that for them. Yeah. And people understand, like this, dude, this happens in smaller circles. It does, So when he says what's about smaller creators, I'm not doubting that there are smaller creators out there that ask for his help and that, backstab him. That's understandable. But people, and also I would say this for smaller creators, if you don't want to ever potentially have to ask Ethan or people like that for help, you got to build up your own stuff then. Because, fair to him, he did build up his own channel. I will give him that. Sure. And Michael Brinkhoff even put out a tweet, said, build up your own channels. Yeah, people want to be on that level. It's going to take years of doing it, but you might as well start now. And people say, all we have is time. We're not dying anytime soon. Hopefully, I guess. World War III, right? Exactly. There was a saying, all you have is time when I was growing up. So hey, build the channels up. Work on those personalities. Yeah. And it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Yeah. And that's why I pretty much stream once a week. Yeah. And it's usually a stream about horror movies. I do a stream called the Horror Movie Club. I do a stream called Kung Fu Theater. I do a stream called Spaghetti Western Jamboree, because I picked subjects that I could talk about in my sleep. where I could have the Rona and, 2 broken legs, right? Stoned on painkillers. And I could be like, oh yeah, man. Oh man, that Dario Argento movie is dope. You need to check that out. And right. And that was just to get me more comfortable with the camera, more comfortable.
It takes time. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I always tell the people that are very intimidated by it is go out, start doing it. I mean, dude, my first streams, oh my God, I'd hate to watch those. I was like, hi, I'm Brian. This is my book. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should buy my book. I was like stiff as fuck. Mm-hmm. And then I got to a place where I ceased to give a shit. I just didn't care anymore. And that's when it became fun. That's when it became enjoyable.
And then the other thing I'll bring up, as we talked about just earlier ago, is I'm not saying Eric's books are like D-tier quality. What I'm saying is like influence, like actual reach, like the amount of people that'll hear about the Ribiverse compared to like Image is just vastly different, right? So I just find it so weird. Yeah. I just find it so weird that people are trying to make sure he fails, but they don't make sure the people that are actually screwing people over in the mainstream fail. I don't understand. We literally just had a guy, what's his name, Ed Piskor, completely blow his brains out because because people in the mainstream, a lot of them created whisper networks to try to cancel him. Those are the people you should be going after, not the random black guy that just started a company trying to put out comic books he likes.
But it's about envy. You have to understand.
You're right. Yeah. Crazy.
Right? And envy is, a lot of people don't understand what envy is and why it's such a grievous sin, right? It's a little different than jealousy, right? Where you look at some guy's fly sports car or something, or somebody has something that you wish you had. And you're like, God damn it, I wish I had that, right? Envy is when you go, that guy's got that thing that I want that rightfully belongs to me. And you're willing to go out and destroy that other person out of malice, out of envy. And now I didn't back Isom because it's like cape shit, right? Superhero shit. And I'm just really not like, it's not my thing, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Then this first book comes out and people are saying it's mid. That was the general impression that I got. People were saying it was mid. I was just like, holy shit, that's that guy's first comic book. Oh my God. If my first comic, there's no way I would want anybody to like read my first comics. Those are buried like under a vault. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody to see those because you learn by doing. And it's very seldom that a writer hits the ball out of the park their first time at bat. It's not unknown. It does happen. Paul Schrader, for instance, his very first screenplay, Taxi Driver. Boom, out of the park. First time at bat, right? But that's the exception to the rule. And so he realizes like, damn, like I need help with my writing. So what does he do? He goes and gets ringers. He goes and gets Chuck fucking Dixon. He gets Mike fucking Barron. Right? And then that was just like smart. Smart. Saska Sisters, I don't even really know who they are, so I can't.
They wrote a Black Widow run. It's called No Restraints Play. I have it over there. That's the only thing they did as far as I remember. But even then, they have some mainstream comic book experience. Some, and it's more in the recent Marvel too. So maybe if there's some hidden secrets there, maybe they'll know them. Like that, the other thing though is people acted like he was supposed to just do everything right when he started, and it's like that's how you know TikTok brain is rotted people to the core. Unless it's super instant, it has to be gratification from the start. You can't just wait till things get better. I thought most businesses improve, like you said. McDonald's didn't even start out that way. No big burger franchise started out doing everything right that they know now compared to when they first started. It was supposed to be just like Eric knew everything. If you don't do it this way, that Marvel and DC did it, then it was automatically wrong. And it's like, well, that's not even how you improve at life. It's copying everybody else. What?
This here's the thing. Eric did what Ray Bradbury always said you should do. That is to say, jump off the cliff and build your wings on the way down. Right? You got to just say, fuck it. and go for it. And you know what? You may land on your ass. You
Yeah.
may even look like a fool, right?
Mhm.
But your next book is going to be better than that. And the next one's going to be better than that. And then the next one's going to be better than that. You have to learn how to crawl before you learn how to walk, and learn how to walk before you can run,
Yeah.
right? Now, I've been studying storytelling for 30 years, and I've been writing for 30 years. So the fact that my book gets good reviews, I'm like, okay, I must have learned a thing or two, right? And I'm an editor on a bunch of books too. People are hiring me to edit their books, a lot of them on the down low, right? Especially now that my name is anathema in certain circles.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that people are looking to me for writing advice, that shit's humbling as fuck.
Yeah.
It really is. And I'm grateful for all that, and I'm grateful for the success of my book, and I'm grateful for everything that's come my way. And that's one of the things I can say about Eric, is that he really shows real gratitude to his fan base. It doesn't take that much effort, right? It's like not being an asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take that much effort to not be an asshole. It really doesn't. And that's why when you encounter people who are assholes in real life, I get mad, because I'm like, you're not even trying, motherfucker. You're not even trying. You're just being an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and
Vaughn says, wasn't CG supposed to be about not being afraid of cancel culture? Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yes. And like I said, it's like when you have cancel culture in your anti-cancel culture scene, shit's fucked up. Why did I come into this space? I came into this space because I was looking to connect with other people like me, and to create in a space where there was no censorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine what it's like to write for Marvel in DC, because it's not only about what you can't write, it's about what you have to write.
This is why secretly some of them are fucking, I'm not say communists or socialists, but some of them aren't exactly conservative, as they say. What type of person who has business sense wants to do something for someone else and let them have all the creative control over it? Deep down, I truly think Rob Liefeld regrets creating those iconic characters he did for Marvel, because he realizes if he did it for himself under like Image, he'd have all the creative control and all the money come to him. Even though you never worked with Marvel and DC, why does that matter? If you have your own thing you can create, it's all yours, someone doesn't own it, and you essentially, if your campaigns do well, you make all the money from it.
Yeah.
Why is it that you have to basically go through someone, co-create on someone else's products? Even though let's hypothetically, you go to Marvel DC right now, you go on Spider-Man, you make the best Spider-Man story that's been written in, like, let's just say forever, because who knows when the last good one was there. And then it doesn't matter, because it's even they'll go like, you should be grateful you got to create for our character.
Well,
it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
But the clout you would get from creating a Spider-Man story would be out of this world, honestly.
Exactly. And that's why you had people like Robert Kirkman working for them. Jason Aaron, of course, he just cucked himself out completely. I remember he was doing a book called Scalped, which was incredible. Yeah. It was basically like, I don't know, The Godfather. It was a crime saga set on a Native American reservation, right? So you had an entire culture, an entire world and everything, an entire underworld too, that was completely fresh, right? That you hadn't seen done to death. And it was a brilliant book, and it was a beautiful book. He went to work for Marvel to get attention for his indie shit. Brian Michael Bendis started out the same way too. Now I've got my issues with him, with the fucking talking heads, page after page of talking heads.
Good
right?
old Michael.
Oh, drives me fucking nuts, man. Show don't tell, motherfucker. And that's what I always want to say to him. But then you look at Jason Aaron, who, doing, turning Thor into a chick. Then he tried writing Conan the Barbarian. And then the SJWs, of course, were all over that. And he was just issuing apology after apology after apology. At what point do you just go, you know what? Fuck all y'all, and take off and just do your own thing? It's like, dude, you've established yourself. You've given yourself a name. Ed Brubaker, for instance, right? Everybody's going to always remember that Captain America Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite Captain America books. Yeah, love that. Yeah, it's great. Yeah,
yeah, like some of the best ever, right? And now, of course, he's doing his pulp comics. He's doing Reckless. He's doing Kill or Be Killed, a bunch of other stuff. Mark Millar too. Now he went and did stuff for Marvel. Did the Ultimates. Did Civil War. Now he has the Millarverse, right? So it's what the people that I think are getting screwed are the artists that are getting paid virtually nothing, right? Except for something they can put on their resume, which to me is sickening because it's almost like a back end deal. Like back end deals are bullshit. I've always paid my artists. Right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Pay the fucking artist. If you're not a scumbag, pay the fucking artist. But that's the thing is you've got these people that are just looking for some kind of clout, some kind of boost on their resume. And I don't think it's going to really do anything because right now, of course, the industry isn't artist driven. It's writer driven. Whereas when I was a kid, it was all about the artists.
Oh, right? Yeah.
And nobody cared about the writers. And now the writers have eclipsed the artists. And I think that's a little fucked up because I always think that the artist is always going to be at least minimum 5% more important than the writer. Because if you grab my book and you open it up and the art makes you go, yeah.
Yeah.
That shit's going right back to the shelf.
That's why I always say art technically matters more initially is because first impressions matter a lot. So if the art looks bad, because people have to think comic books are a visual medium.
Yes.
If that art looks like shit, you're not going to get to the story. People come for the art, but they say for the writing. Well, no one's going to know what the writing is if they think the art is terrible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like my friends get on my ass. They're like, oh yeah, they'll make a reference to Family Guy. I'm like, I've never seen a single episode. I'm like, what? I'm like, I've never seen a single episode because the animation is just ugly, and the character design is just ugly, and I don't like looking at it. And it's a TV. Yeah, but there are all these jokes. I'm like, sorry. I can watch South Park because it's these little paper cutouts, and there's something charming about that. But if the art makes me go, ugh, and the art and Family Guy does provoke that kind of a reaction from me, sorry, I'm not going to sit around and wait for the funny jokes.
So now we got to get you Family Guy comic books for your birthday. Let's go. Yeah. So for me, when it comes to like creating, I mean, I understand how much it would take to create something and the money that goes into it. But I was just speaking from more of the fact of like, when someone says you have to do it that way in order to get experience, it's like, why is I just hate looking at life through that kind of lens because no one that's famous, no one that's ever rich and famous does that. Or if they did it obviously on a much more smaller scale. Like I hate looking at life and going, you have to do this, otherwise it means nothing. That's such a horrible way to live life, and just in anything.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Like it's like the people that talk about movies and when they go, well, you have to do this movie, you have to do your horror movie this way, and if he doesn't do that, and it's bad, and it's like, then where's the room for creativity? Where's the room for like innovation in anything? Exactly. I don't get it. I hate being alive sometimes.
Well, look, it's frustrating. And one thing, and then I always remember what Jack Kirby said. He said, comics will break you hot, kid. And it's true. What was the one where the guy that won an award said the first goal is to entertain? I forgot.
Yes. I forgot the guy who said it, but I remember that one. That one will always stick with me. Because remember, if you're not entertaining, then your book ain't gonna sell. That's how it works.
And if I have a message, right, or a theme in my book, you're not going to hang around for it if I just take it and just club you over the head with it like it's a fucking frozen ham.
Like, what is Six Gun Gorilla's pronouns? I'm pretty sure he uses they them pronouns, right? You gotta make sure those are known. Gotta imagine a gorilla using pronouns. Holy fucking shit.
It's funny because people are like, so does the gorilla talk? I'm like, no, he's a gorilla.
So gorillas don't talk. So your gorilla's not like Gorilla Grodd. He doesn't talk telepathically?
No.
Okay,
No.
so it's up
He
to the
knows sign
humans.
language.
Oh, so your character's more like, oh, I forgot. Your gorilla's based off like King Kong, essentially.
No, he's kind of, well, he's inspired by a lot of characters. I'd
Mm,
say actually one of the characters that he's more inspired by is a character that Tomosubaru Wakayama played in a Japanese TV series, very obscure but worth hunting down, and I think it might be on Amazon now, called Oshi Mute Samurai. Because I was like, how am I going to do this with a mute character? Because that was a pretty big decision, right? To have him not speak, and or not even an internal monologue. There is one scene where you get to hear his thoughts, and I saved it for that particular moment for effect. But I watched that, and that's when I realized, okay, yeah, and he's communicating with people using sort of a type of universal sign language, right? Like, I'm gonna go over there. You go that way. That
All you
kind
have
of
to do is, if he ever speaks, just say, I am monkey. And then he just, mic drops the guns, and walks away. I just need that.
No, don't say that to him because he's a gorilla.
He might shoot you.
The great apes, they're not monkeys.
That's true. Don't ever tell him that. They will actually beat you up. Holy
Pop your
crap.
head off like a champagne.
Does he have a love? I never asked you this. Does your main gorilla have a love interest?
No.
Like gives him a female gorilla he's after? Oh my god, Brian.
Maybe.
Watch give him some love.
Maybe.
Don't monkeys deserve love? Come on, man.
Look, my dream book, and maybe I'll be able to do this in my lifetime. We'll see. Would be Six Gun Gorilla versus Tarzan. If I could get him in the jungle fighting Tarzan, and better yet, put them in Pellucidar, which is the world of At the Earth's Core, right? Tarzan versus Six Gun Gorilla and Pellucidar. That would be my dream book. And then maybe he can, if he's back in the Congo, find a love interest. But yeah, no, he's a homeboy. Unfortunately, is hard up. And there is a very hot redhead in the story named Abigail, but she's his big sister. She's the one that convinces her father to win him in a poker game. And and so the two of them have a very special sibling relationship, and actually have their own form of sign language. Like, you know how twins will sometimes have like their own language, that kind of a thing. Yeah, so it's not like proper American sign language. They just have like their own little code. And there's one scene where, you know, she's got a gun up to her head and she's just like signing to him. Right?
So I wanted to ask you this just in case people didn't know, because your series is now going to be up to, like you said, issues 9 and 10 now. So if someone wanted to go and get, like, let's say the first few volumes, because I know you have them in trade paperback, I know you have the first one in trade paperback, where would they go to get the first trade paperback to see, like, okay, if I continue in volume 2, is this worthy enough? Is this good enough for my time? Can they still get volume 1 right now?
It's on funmycomic.com.
Okay.
And
so you just go to your campaign and you go to where it says volume 1 and you just get that and you just send it to them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I also have a Shopify store. You can also contact me via email or privately, and I'll see about getting you a copy. Vaughn, actually, I still need to hook up with a copy, because I did hook him up with a copy at the Graham Nolan party, but homeboy had a little too much to drink and like left it somewhere, and it got lost.
I did want to buy
I told
one.
him I'll hook him up.
Yeah. I get paid. Let's see. I get paid next week. So next week, I will definitely get one. Because I don't want to go through like Fund My Comic or anything. Not because I don't like it. It's just I would just give you the money directly. So
dude. I appreciate that. You can also people that are into floppies, you can also get them in floppies.
How dare you?
But
outdated format, Brian. It's all about graphic novels. What are you doing, man?
Well, because some people like floppies.
That's
right.
True. Yeah, I love doing floppies still. Yeah.
I couldn't run a campaign for issue 9 and issue 10 because there were too many people that were like, "Oh, I'll just wait for the next trade paperback." I'm like, I don't say it, but I'm thinking, motherfucker, there's not going to be another trade paperback if you don't support.
This. Yeah. Oh my god, man.
Yeah, but the God, yeah, I make sure that I also always have a digital tier because there's some people on the other side of the world that don't want to pay $28 for
Yeah,
shipping and handling, and I get that.
European shipping. If someone were to pay essentially $28 for your book, they'd be paying like $20 in shipping just to get it to them.
Oh, dude, $28 to Shanghai. I had a guy that a backer in Shanghai that got a trade paperback from me, and the thing was jacked up.
Yeah, they need to really lower those prices for international shipping. It's insane.
It's insane.
Actually, yeah,
it's insane. It's insane.
Hi, John. John says, "I just packed out your book, Brian. MSK is yours in the mail. Awesome. Yeah, can't wait to get. Yeah, can't wait to get yours and Vaughn's
John,
in my next mail run.
Book too.
Yeah, in my next mail run, when I'll hopefully I can get yours, Vaughn's, and Eric's book in. That way I can spend 8 hours on a stream shitting on them, and you guys will come and obviously give me some clout. That's where the money is, Brian. 8 hours MSK cast and 8 hours shit on stream.
As long as it's honest. That's because that's the thing. Is I always want to know, because I don't know if my books are any good. I like them.
You're inherently biased to them because you created them. You're going to think they're good just because you
made them for me, right? And I made them for me. I'm the target audience. So this is the shit that I like, but I don't know if other people are going to connect with it. And so I'm always, like I said, when I've been super fortunate, I've gotten nothing but great reviews. And, like I said, it's not me being braggadocious. It's me being really, really, really freaking grateful because it could have gone in the completely opposite direction. But evidently, I seem to know what I'm doing. Oh, and also I should mention, if you go to fundmycomic.com, you can and go to the Six Gun Gorilla Volume 2 trade paperback, The Great Silence, a campaign page. At the top, there's a little link there, and you can click on it, and you can download the entire first issue for free as a PDF.
You know me. I don't know. First issues? No, I'm going all in on the first trade.
Right.
Just like DC, I'm all in.
Right.
I need some gorillas in my life.
Right, but here's the thing. I always want to make sure that the customer gets a chance to kick the wheels, kick the tires before they invest. Right. And at conventions, when I got my table set out, I will have copies of my books laid out that are for people to flip through. So they can just pick it up and flip through it and be like, oh, this looks dope. First of all, it shows confidence in my product. Right. Which I have in abundance, thanks to all the kind people that gave me good reviews. And then, of course, that's the philosophy of like the first one's for free. Like you're going to read that first issue, and you're going to have more. You're going to have to find out what happens next. So yeah, and there's a new trailer up there, and and also you're not going to be waiting too long because
you have issues 9 and 10. Pretty ready? Yeah, hell yeah.
From Critical Blast.
Crazy. Such an underrated thing you said a while ago when we were talking is it takes time. No one really truly gets that concept. It takes time to build anything up, whether you're doing content creation, whether you're doing something like you're doing, which is creating indie comic books, whether you're doing an indie novel, so to speak. People basically want like the end result without putting in any of the work initially. I'm not saying you have to pay your dues, but people to understand it's not going to be an overnight thing. I don't know I don't know where that comes from. People need to throw that mindset out. Yeah,
that's our culture.
TikTok is doing people's brains, man. I swear, dude.
That's one of the things I loved about Kick-Ass. Right?
Yeah.
It was largely about that. It's just like, oh shit, am I going to be like Batman and devote train 8 hours a day for 10, 15 years straight? Nah, fuck that. I'm just going to buy a costume and just go out there. That's the thing, is people want to go from A to Z like that, and it doesn't work that way. Jimi Hendrix, I guarantee you, man, there's some motherfucker somewhere that lived next door to Jimi Hendrix when he first picked up a guitar, and that shit sounded horrendous, right? They're like, oh man, give it up. How did Jimi Hendrix become Jimi Hendrix? He played until his fingers bled, right? You have to be in it to win it, and there's no shortcuts. Like books on writing, for instance. I love reading books about writing. Are they useful? Nuts and bolts? Most of them aren't. No.
Mhm.
And it's still not going to replace actual experience. It's just like anything else. You just have to do it. And maybe at first you're going to be tripping and falling and, looking like an idiot or something like that. But you have to keep with it and you have to stay at it. And writing for comics is just it's a very unusual medium to write for, in the sense that it's not like writing a novel or a short story or a screenplay
Mhm.
where you're describing the events as they're happening. You're
Yeah.
describing the events as snapshots. If you're doing full script style,
Mhm.
which is what I do. But then I also give my artists a ton of leeway. So I'm like, if you think that it would look better like this, do that. So
Mhm.
I write full script, but then when I give them the script, I'm like, just treat it Marvel style.
The,
And
the
that's
other
when they
few things I'll
score.
ask you is, you know how you're saying there's a lot of new people coming up since you've been doing this for a very long time, and some of the new guys, as you mentioned, they want the end result fast. So if you understand this mindset, guys, it's gonna take some time. Then I'll ask you this: what is advice you would give to someone new that's coming up? So let's say if their crowdfunding campaign is struggling to get the money, how do you go about navigating that? As for advice you would give to that person?
First of all, don't make your first book, uh, a 10 issue series. Don't do that. Don't do
Oh
what I
yeah.
did. Right? Talk to people like me. Reach out to people,
Mhm.
because people in this space can be unbelievably kind and generous.
Mhm.
And there were people that were incredibly kind and generous to us when we first came into this space. And we have a responsibility to the people that are coming in after us, too. Uh, Talk to us, learn from the things that we did correct, and especially learn from our blunders. And then the other thing, make sure that the book is sincere. Make sure that you're writing it for yourself, because I always tell this story about New York Comic Con. That was my first convention. This is like 10 years ago, right? And I sold out of books on day 2. I sold over 400 issues,
Yeah, I remember you said, yeah, it's crazy.
right? Crazy.
Yeah.
And is it because I had a great product? I think so. Is it because I had this big fuck you banner where you came in and you just looked to the left, you just saw a gorilla with guns,
Okay,
right?
maybe it was the banner. Okay.
Yeah, but another reason was because every other book that was there that year was a zombie comic, because it was all about The Walking Dead.
You know what else I think worked well for you?
Yeah.
I'm trying to jerk you off like Ethan jerks off John Malin because that guy's really just straight up fucking gay. What I think you did, what a lot of people don't do, which I think is why your book sold well compared to other people's, simple concept with intrigue. So an example of this would be, let's use the bigger ones. Batman. What is Batman essentially? Just a guy who dresses as a in a bat costume fighting crime. Very simple.
Getting
Very simple
symbolic
concept.
revenge,
Yeah,
basically. Getting
with
symbolic
the
revenge
intrigue
for the
there.
murder of
Yeah.
his parents.
What
And
is your
boom,
character
you get it.
essentially? A big gorilla shooting things. Now, people say, but that's not the high intellect. First of all, you don't need to have high intellect bullshit to sell very well. Some of the best comic books that have ever sold are some of the most simple concepts ever. I don't get it in the indie space where if you don't create something super high concept, then it's not considered good. It's like, what the fuck? It's stupid. It's legitimately dumb.
But also, like, my thing as a writer, and this is not something that happened on purpose, right? I wish I could say that it was, right? I just bumbled into this, but that's part of the process of creativity. Is it's a journey, and it might take you in a direction where you didn't expect to go. My thing is to take a really silly concept and tell a serious, heartfelt story with it. And so when people pick up my book, they're going to be like, oh, this is going to be kind of wild. This is going to be kind of crazy. And then next thing they know, it's like my fist is closed around their heart.
You do have the approach of, like, let's say Cocaine Shark or Cocaine Bear. So your concept is like so crazy that people are just intrigued just by concept alone. People are trying to make these like really high concept things. That's fine if you do, but then don't get mad that it's something with a significantly less high scaled concept does better. Because to be fair, like you said, so what's that saying when you had growing up? Simplicity is like the easiest. Simplicity is at its best. You have such a simple concept to get in. You can just do the high concept stuff later, because you have to get people in first.
Yes.
To have them buy your book and get into it. Right. People are making these high concept ideas. I got no problem with it. But then these are the same people that are complaining, well, why is no one buying my stuff? Well, what's your stuff about? It's so, and you guys are talking, it's like, so it's like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah, they have no elevator pitch. They have no elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard my elevator pitch?
Oh, no.
A very big ape with very big guns, blowing very big holes and very bad people.
So that works. That works.
That's it. That's it.
Now, all you need is a George Floyd cover with 6-gun gorilla history. Might be pretty bad history.
That ain't happening.
Okay, maybe you haven't shoot Donald Trump. Come on,
I just wanted to say something about John in the chat. He said, yes, people have been so helpful. I wouldn't be at this point without the generosity of other creators. You and me both, brother. You and me both. And so for people that are coming in behind us, what should they do? Hit us up. And we will try to help you any way that we can. Like I said, there's a lot of really cool, really talented people out there that are semi-veterans or veterans of this scene that will go out of their way to help you, because we feel a sense of responsibility, right? That it's one of the things I subscribe to is the philosophy of pay it forward. Somebody's like, oh man, I owe you this, I owe you that. Nah, brother, you don't owe me nothing. Help the next person who comes by and could use a hand. Help that person, right? And then hope that they help the person after them. And I just believe in the philosophy of rising tide lifts all ships.
Or to tackle your point, or at least be a inspirational figure. Like, make sure you're doing the things that'll matter in the grand scheme of things. Like you're being someone where your books come out. You're someone that is basically able to conversate. Just doing basic figure stuff, like being an actual entertainer, can inspire someone to just do it themselves. Maybe you inspired someone to make their own indie comic book at some point.
One of the things that I really have loved about this scene, don't see it so much anymore, unfortunately, was seeing people that were always in the chats, right? And then they were looking at me and other creators in this space, and we're kind of like, damn, that guy doesn't seem too bright, and he's pulling it off. Maybe I could throw my hat in the ring. And boom, they throw their hat in the ring. And there's something exciting about that. Especially the people that there's some people that had pretty much given up on their dream of making comics, and to see them get that fire back, to see them be like, hey, fuck it, these guys are doing it, why don't I give it a shot? That's one of my favorite things, and one of the biggest things I miss in the scene. You don't see that as much anymore. The books that come from those kinds of creators generally are, like I said, very sincere, because they're making a book to entertain themselves. They're making what they would like to read. Of course,
a new lady, a lady who has done written novels. You probably know her. Her name's been floating around. C.S. Johnson. She's a written novel lady. But she recently started doing comic books, and she understands the hardships about getting your comic out there, but she's still doing it. And people understand with comic books. I don't know where this has been. Man, I swear, people's minds are just disgustingly bad. I have to always tell myself I'm living in a planet of purgatory where I have to be the sense of reason every day. People think that doing comic books makes you like a millionaire, and it's like people don't know this is a niche, like a niche that has a very huge cap out, but it's only going to cap out at a single point.
Oh, dude,
you don't make comic books to make millions of dollars. It's crazy. People think that, dude. It's absolute nonsense.
Yeah, you just reminded me. One of the things I always, if I have advice for new indie creators, people that are thinking about getting into this, don't get into it for the money. There is none.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that it's because it's what's in your heart, it's what's in your blood,
Mm-hmm.
and it's your passion. And that was the thing that was really depressing about that year at the New York Comic Con in Independence Alley. Just seeing all these fools looking at each other and going, oh shit, you had the same idea. 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 That guy didn't have the same idea, and his table is crowded constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these fools made a comic book that they thought would sell. They made what they thought would sell. And at the end of the day, they made a comic book that probably even they don't like, right? So make something that you're going to be proud of, make something that you like, because at the end of the day, that may be all that you're left with.
Yeah, like, it's crazy how people think like, oh, well, there's going to be a lot of money in this. I mean, I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money, but
Right.
if you coming in expecting a lot of money, that's ridiculous. You know, like, you got to understand comic books. Maybe you feel the same way like I do. It's not. I would say it's tribal in a weird way. It's not like tribal. Like, it's a tribalistic way where if someone likes you, they'll buy anything you put out. All right.
Yes.
But a lot of new people don't get that. You don't have any basis. It's hard just trusting to give someone money based on what you brought up earlier, like comic books not fulfilling. You know, you have to earn that trust to get that long lifetime customer. You know?
Yes, you do. And this is why you have to play the long game.
Mm-hmm.
I had on one of my campaigns, I had 6 Young Gorilla figurines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I got one that's being painted right now by a professional figurine painter, and it's almost done. I can't wait to fucking show that thing off. And I had trouble finding a manufacturer. Then there were some gay ops involved, you know, people that were jerking me around, unfortunately. And eventually, my boy Sim came through, printed up the figurines, and I got them out to people. They were 2 years late. So when those people got their figurines from me, they didn't get just the one figurine they ordered. They got 2 figurines and a written apology from yours truly, because you have to understand that the greatest investment you can make are in your backers. When this guy in Singapore got a book from me that was all jacked up, that looked like it had been microwaved or something, right? The pages were coming apart. I asked him, like, oh, like, you know, I saw the video he sent me. I'm like, oh, can I share this? He's like, why would you want to share that? I'm like, first of all, because I want to share my pain and my agony. Right? So a backer getting a book from me like that, like, oh, it's just the worst, right? But also because I'm going to replace your book. Those $28, you gotta eat them. You gotta eat them and get that book out. And make sure that it gets to your backer, because guess what? If they know that you went all out for them, they're probably certainly going to come back for your next thing.
Yeah. Or even just a little simple interaction, like
support.
Even another interaction like this that could actually help get a lifetime backer is, like, let's say randomly they lost their book in the mail. Because shit happens, right? And you, even though it might hurt your wallet, you resend them that book. That right there could give you a lifelong customer right there.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. No, I've done things like that many times. And I mean, first of all, it's the non-dick move, right? It's just the right thing to do. But also, even if I were an asshole, I would still probably do it because it's just the smart thing from a business perspective. And that's what, unfortunately, I think some of the bigger creators in our space don't understand. But then again, it's just like some of these folks, it's not even just that they don't have love for their backers. They have a certain kind of disdain for them.
You know what I think? It's what you said. It's disdain, and they treat them like big companies, like conglomerates, like Disney and whatever. They treat them like investors. So I feel how investing works. As an investor, if I feel like I'm not getting my money's worth, man, by that logic, then I could just pull out. You know, John Malin said this in one of the CG Slum streams. He said, if I give you a bad book, you're not going to want to give me the money more.
Yes.
Wow. Yes. Man, if we look at the campaign numbers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But remember, he feels entitled to that. It's the same way that EBS will dox you if you're a former customer. Well, you're not my customer anymore.
Like that doesn't even work. Like that's not even a thing. How can you just not be a customer? Like,
it's insane. It's insane.
Lord, man.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is, with some of these guys that you're just talking about, it just makes no sense how they treat back. Like you're like having a CG stream and people can't even get 5 or 6 backers anymore. It's because enough negative attention on someone will cause them to get turned off. Like that one guy, Review Tech USA, so much negative around that guy. Eventually, people are just gonna not want to be around you. It's just how that works. You know?
Yes, for sure. But that's the thing. You put negative shit out, you're gonna get negative shit back. And I always try to be positive, but at the same time, I'm not a pussy. And if somebody comes at me, I am going to come back at them. You know what I'm saying? I will never start shit ever. And, but I'm going to defend myself, but also I would never do anything to cock block or hamper the career of another creator, even if I hate their guts, because that's just a personal thing on my level. That's to say, it's like, well, maybe I'll know, if I was in a position to help them, I wouldn't help them, but I also wouldn't do anything to throw a monkey wrench in their plans and, fuck with their business, because I just think that fucking with people's money is dishonorable. Especially when you're part of
because it's just constant drama every day, and got people understand you can also ignore it, but that's the thing. I don't really want to ignore it. You know what's crazy? You can talk about it, but then also still make sure your shit comes out and keep it on time. Yeah, because the thing is, I hate when people do this. Well, if I just ignore it, that's not how life works. That's the reason why the world was complete trash for as long as it was, because everyone did that. Everyone went, what, if I just put my head in the sand, it'll all just go away. That's just literally not how that works. No. You yourself can do. I'm saying if you want to do that, go ahead, but don't criticize people that are out there trying to fight it and trying to make sure the narratives stay as they should. Because then people will go like, well, if I put my head in the sand, that means you. What? Okay, if you want to quit, go ahead. I don't care if you want to do it. Do whatever you feel like you want to do. But as people now realize, putting their heads in the sand made things so unbelievably bad that you now have to fight it, because you can't just ignore it anymore. And that's the same thing with this space,
No, that's why I finally had enough. I kept my lip buttoned for years.
Yeah.
For years.
Are you not entertained? Now you're going to get constant entertainment. Fucking hell.
Yeah. But it's like, now it's just like, sorry, like we're in a position now where it's like fence sitting isn't much of an option. And I understand people want to avoid drama, stay away from drama.
I get it. Yeah.
I get it 110%. Right? I was right there with you. But when Ethan drew a fucking crosshairs on me, then I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to fucking talk. And what can I say? It's, what it is? It's like, I got bullied when I was a kid, right? And I didn't fight back. And so when I got older, I had an attitude where I was just like, fight me, motherfuckers, right? And then nobody wanted any shit from me because they saw that crazy look in my eyes. And so it's like, for the rest of my life, it's difficult for me to forgive myself for not having fought back then. Yeah. And so when people come at me, and this has been the case my entire
it eats at you. You in your mind start thinking like, man, what if I had actually did something then? And you always constantly question. So your mind goes, you know what? No more. I'm just going to do it. And then hopefully I tackle it the best. But at least in your mind, you knew you tackled it and you just didn't let it slide,
Yes. And also the thing I learned with bullies is that you have to go nose to nose with them. I mean, I remember having to do this at like an office job, right? Where one of the higher ups was trying to bully me, right? And, it was like, what did you say? It was like, you heard me. And people were like, damn, like, you really stood up to him. And I was just like, well, yeah, he didn't leave me a choice, right? It's like he came at me, so it's just like nose to nose. He didn't leave me an option, right? Because if I didn't go nose to nose with him, then the shit would just get worse.
Yep.
And that's how I feel about this too. And yeah, I'm just I'm done taking their shit, and a lot of people are done taking their shit.
Yeah,
And it's coming back to fucking snap them in the ass.
It's that whole fence sitting thing that people do, and I understand on certain things that you have to be offensive on, because if you don't know a situation fully, I'd rather just, that's fine. But it's people that don't have a backbone on anything, and they think this idea of like, well, everyone could just sing kumbayas and just get along. Sorry to be that guy. That's not how life works. Just literally not how life works. Even if it's not this scene, it's everything. Not everyone's going to get along. So let's stop pretending like we are. It's crazy. Because if I don't like somebody, I'm not going to say I do. But I'm the bad guy. It's saying, I thought people wanted honesty in the space.
No
I think
way.
I think the lack of honesty initially up front is what ruined everything. People just, because the fans went, oh, I guess everyone liked each other. No drama was happening. Yeah, as you guys know, that's just how that works. Sorry to burst your bubble. Something is always going on. We're going to hear about more drama coming up this week. And you know what? I'll be straight right there talking about, because I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm not trying to be their friend.
I'm not either.
I'm not meeting these guys in real life. I could give two flying fucks if they like me. I don't care. People are acting like, well, what if they don't like me? Who gives a fuck? You're not meeting them.
Right. And the thing is, the people that are there now, it's like I pop into like Ethan's chats, and this has been the case for a couple of years now. I don't recognize any of the names in the chat.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't recognize any of the names. That's because all the old fans are gone. He chased away so many people. We could have had such a thriving scene. We could have risen up. Dude, he had an army behind him.
Mm-hmm.
He had an army of creators behind him, including some really, really talented ones. And he blew it. And that's why, of course, there's the hatred for Eric July, because he's just looking at him and being like, that could have been me. But it wasn't me. I didn't fuck up. That's the other thing too. Zero accountability. That's a part of narcissistic personality disorder.
And then always make sure to flip flop an opinion. Think you have one stance, but then 24 hours later you got to change that stance, because these people just go wherever the wind flows. The last few things I'll ask you before we head on in a little bit here is, do you have anything planned at the end of 2024, going into 2025 that you want to let the audience know about?
Oh yes, I got a lot of shit coming out, and stuff is going down in 2025.
Hypothetically, you have another book on the way.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got something called. Hold on a second. Wait. Pull this page down from my cork board. I got a book coming out with Adam Lawson.
Okay.
Called Blood Moon Stomp.
Oh, okay. That looks cool.
And the art is by Maxi Diallo, who's absolutely fucking phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be, I think, about like an 85 page graphic novel. And basically, Adam came to me and said, hey, like, you'd read a screenplay that I had written about Mexican wrestlers fighting monsters, right? Basically, like an El Santo movie. I don't know if you know who El Santo is. But he's like the king of the Mexican horror wrestling genre. Yes, that is a thing. And if you've never seen one of those movies, they're awesome. But he came to me after he read that. He was like, how about, like, would you be interested in doing something that's like The Wrestler meets The Shining? And I was like, yeah, I can do that, like, for sure. And I wrote a script that I'm pretty proud of, and that's coming out. And then my boy Preston Acevedo has got a couple of books coming out, scripted by yours truly. Hell Knight, which is looking awesome, and Nine Devils. And then, of course, there's some books that I'm editing. And also there's I want to get at least one other book off the ground, because I've got all these books, all these IPs. I got all these things I want to do. That's the thing that really fucks me up and burns my britches. It's just like, damn, if I got $1 million, if I had $1 million campaign, I'd be busting IPs. I'd be busting books, right? I'd be doing what Eric's doing, really.
The other thing I'll ask you as last thing, do you have any shout outs you want to get to anyone in particular, and anything else you want to say before we close the show?
Well, geez, always shout outs to my boy Preston, Sim. Love those dudes. Matt, Metal Movies and Brewskis. Definitely go check his channel out. And Pops, what's up? And there are still so many people in this space that I absolutely love and adore. And I'm always going to think of CG as the place where we all met. And I've long felt that this was temporary, that this wasn't going to last forever, right? And so we all found each other. And after you've known people for 3 or 4 years, you get to know them. And, if they were wearing a mask, that shit has slipped and you've seen the person underneath. And I'm looking forward to just going on and creating more. And I think that we need to create our own thing. I think that all of the people that have been canceled need to get together and create our own thing. Not to fuck with Ethan, not to fuck with Malin, not to fuck with those people, but to create our own thing and keep it fucking positive. That's all I got.
Yeah, it was great to have you on again for a
first
appearance.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate
it. Anytime, man. Yeah, it was always great talking to you, catching up. Pretty sure that vindication you got from shit mailing, definitely worked. He had that one banger tweet, which was, "Do I have to Ed Pisscore myself for F&T to notice me?" That certainly was one of the tweets of all time. Certainly top 10. Basically claiming he has to blow his brains out for F&T to notice him. That it might be the gayest shit I've ever read, bro. Roadman.
The whole thing is gay. The whole thing is gay.
Hey guys, please notice me. Do I have to kill myself for you guys to notice me? Like, dude, what?
The reason is, I'm gonna get a parting shot in, I guess. The reason Ethan canceled me was because I was hanging out on Wiggle Stream and Lord Raptor.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know those guys. Yeah,
right. That's the real reason why he canceled me. But the reason he used the excuse was for not singing "Happy Birthday" to John Mayall. I'm just like, dude, you just picked the gayest excuse ever. I didn't sing "Happy Birthday" to your boyfriend. Like, really? Right? It's just like,
yeah,
so
I remember that.
Cringe.
Yeah, so stupid. And Ethan, it's his birthday, so what if I don't fucking want to do it? What about free will?
Yes, I don't. Yeah, and I don't kiss ass and I don't suck the D.
Yeah,
sorry.
So you're just like my wife. That's crazy. But yeah, man, can't wait to grab the first trade paperback for Six Gun Gorilla. I do want to get it and read it. And you know what?
I'm gonna order a bunch of those soon, because I know Vaughn's waiting for his. I know John also. I promised him one, and I'll definitely send one your way too.
Anytime, man. Thanks. So
thanks for having me, man.
Anytime, man. Thanks for checking out this episode of the MSK Show, everybody. Have a